Welcome to another episode of the Book Trivia Podcast, where we dust off our bookshelves or boot up our e-readers and provide you with the most interesting trivia we can find about authors and books. I'm Jess, joined as always by my chaos coordinator, H.
Hello, Jess. How are you?
Did you like that one?
Yep.
If you're expecting a serious debate with intense literary analysis, that isn't our kind of vibe. We may not be academic experts, but you can definitely count on us for laughs, bad accents, mentions of ancient Greece, and above all else, interesting factoids. Today we're sliding on our biohazard suits and peering through our microscopes at the novel that made countless readers question the future of the human race. It's Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood. First published in 2003, it's a chilling tour through gene-splicing nightmares and man-made miracles. But before we plunge into Atwood's dystopian playground, let's loosen up with a quick round of general book trivia, shall we, Rach?
Yes, as always. Who's starting?
I'll do it.
Okay.
My first one for you. Who wrote Brave New World?
Is it, I don't know how, Huxley, first name, is it Aldous?
Aldous. Very
Aldous.
good. I'm going to take that as a yes.
I've never known how
sure.
to pronounce that.
Well, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it
Aldous,
correctly,
I
but
think is
either
right.
way, I'm taking that as a yes.
Okay, question one for you, Jessica. Thorin Oakenshield is a fictional character in which book by J.R.R. Tolkien?
All right, I'm going to guess it's Lord of the Rings.
No, it's The Hobbit.
It's only going to be one of the two.
Yeah. Have you read that? No.
I have not. I have read The Hobbit, but
Yeah,
I have.
he's in
Then
The
I
Hobbit.
just I just didn't really love The Hobbit. Oh gosh, hopefully I'm not alienating readers, but it was just the details. It was so detailed. I never have actually gone on to read any of the Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
Please don't tune out just because of that. I'm sorry.
To me? You're asking me not to tune out?
You have no choice. But if there were any listeners out there.
Controversial.
I know. My second one for you is, what is the name of Sherlock Holmes's loyal friend and companion?
Oh, Dr. Watson. I don't know his first name, though.
You don't know his first name. You're really having a problem with first names today.
I am. Dr. Somebody Watson.
James?
James?
John.
No? John.
Dr. John. It's
Dr. John
elementary,
Watson.
my dear Watson.
I'm giving myself half a point for that.
You can have half a point. I'll give you a full point if you want.
Okay, question 2 for you. Who writes the Thursday Murder Club novels?
Oh, thank you for giving me an easy one. It's our best mate, Richard Osman.
A friend of the pod.
A friend of the
He's not.
Well,
He's
we
never
love
heard
him.
of us. Yeah, we love him.
We love his
Parasocial
podcast.
friend of the pod.
Yes, and I love the books too. He's great. And then my final question for you is, what is the name of the adventurous group of 4 children and a dog in Enid Blyton's most popular mystery series?
4 children and a dog. That's the famous 5.
It's the famous 5!
What's the
I would have
dog
been very
called?
disappointed if you did not get that right. Because
I don't think
know
I've
you
ever
love-
read any famous 5, but I know.
But you do love those types
There's
of
a
books,
girl
right?
called George and a dog called Timmy. Is the dog called Timmy? I've never read it.
Oh, cannot remember.
Okay. Final question for you, Jess. You've got to name either the book or the author. It's a book where a group of children grow up in a private school in the English countryside, and the school's called Hailsham. I know you've read this.
Is it Jane Eyre?
Nope. Hailsham. Group of orphaned sort of children. Genetically engineered weird children.
Oh, Never Let Me Go?
Yes. Correct.
Because yes, I love that book. Let's do a podcast episode on that book.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so that's trivia over. Shall we get started on our featured book of the episode, which is
Please
Oryx and
do.
Crake by Margaret Atwood. So, spoiler warning, the rest of the episode is going to discuss the whole book, so you've been warned. This book is set in a post-apocalyptic United States which has been ravaged by plague and genetically mutated animals. When it was first published in 2003, it was set in the near future, so I'm going to guess around 2025 sounds about right. Feels about right. It follows the story of Snowman as he looks after the children of Crake, which we'll get into, and he gradually examines his past memories of the events leading up to the apocalypse. As he sorts through his memories, the reader discovers he used to be known as Jimmy, and he was friends with the beautiful Oryx and the genius Crake. Given the bleakness of this book, none of the facts today are going to be fun, are they? So, Jessica, can you start us off with a non-fun fact?
Did you know that Oryx and Crake is the first novel in Margaret Atwood's Mad Adam trilogy? No. It was followed by The Year of the Flood and Mad Adam, so those are the 3 books. What's interesting is that Atwood herself doesn't like to classify her books as science fiction. She prefers to call them speculative fiction. And her reasoning is that everything in Oryx and Crake is based on current science and technology. Well, at that time, DVDs, for example, just taken a few steps further. For her, science fiction usually means space travel or stuff that isn't possible yet, and she wants the reader to feel like a lot of what happens in her books could be just around the corner for us, which you have alluded to, because I definitely think there were some parallels when we were reading it. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know why she doesn't go with Arthur C. Clarke and call it hard science like he used to.
I don't think she's as quite as scientific.
Speculative fiction, yeah. Have you read this one before? And what did you think about this one?
I had never read the book before, and I have a bit of a spotty history with Atwood. I loved The Handmaid's Tale, but I hated The Blind Assassin, so I wasn't really sure what to expect heading into Oryx. I didn't even know what it was about other than it was a dystopian novel set in the near future. So it was quite a shock to the system getting introduced to a guy in a sheet toga up a tree in the first few pages. Did I love it? I mean, it's hard to say I loved it because the subject matter, as you have mentioned, particularly the chapters with Oryx's story, are really confronting, very raw. But it's definitely a book that keeps you engaged and wanting to turn the page till the end. What about you, Rach? How did you feel about it?
Yeah, so I actually read it not long after it had come out, and all I could remember was that after reading it, I just had this desperate feeling of despair, and I think my brain had actually blocked out all memory of the plot because I found it so traumatic to read, and I actually wonder if that might be the book that caused me to stop reading for many years, because that's around the time I stopped reading books. So perhaps it was. It's incredibly sad and bleak, but it's also incredibly well written, because it wouldn't be able to punch you in the gut so hard if it was badly written. But I don't know. It feels like taking medicine, like you know that maybe it's good for you, but you just don't enjoy it at all. And if you're like me, you read to calm yourself down after dealing with the real world all day and seeing what's going on in the news. This is just going to exacerbate those awful feelings, because it is too well written, and it's not an escape from the world. It's actually like you going somewhere even bleaker. It's too good an understanding of human nature. I don't know if there was meant to be optimism or positivity in this one, or if it was just a bleak warning with no positivity. But if there is some optimism in there, it was too subtly hidden for me. For me, it was just bleak, bleak, bleak. No clear, obvious message of hope. So yeah, I loved and hated this one. I think a message of hope or optimism would have been a nice inclusion.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's start off like we always do by giving you some background into the author's history. Born in 1939, that makes her 85 at the time of this recording, in Canada, Margaret Atwood grew up with her 2 other siblings, a sister called Ruth and a brother called Harold. And because her father was an entomologist, she spent much of her childhood in the backwoods of northern Quebec. In fact, she didn't attend school full-time until she was 12 years old. However, she was a voracious reader and had already started writing plays and poems by the age of 6. Sounds like every single other author. I know, right? And by the time she was 16, she realised she wanted to be a professional writer. She actually has a very extensive academic background. She earned her bachelor's degree in English from Victoria College at the University of Toronto in 1961. She has a master's degree from Radcliffe College, Harvard in 1962. Wow. However, in terms of her personal history, that's a bit more spotty. So Atwood married Jim Polk, who was an American writer, in 1968, but then they divorced in 1973. She then formed a relationship with fellow novelist Graham Gibson soon afterward, and they moved to a farm near Alliston, Ontario, where their daughter, Eleanor Jess Atwood Gibson, was born in 1976. Nice middle name there.
Lovely.
Atwood and Gibson were together until September 18, 2019, when Gibson died after suffering from dementia. So that's a bit sad.
Yeah.
She wrote a poem about Gibson called Dearly, and it actually was accompanied by an essay of grief and poetry published in The Guardian in 2020, so right in the middle of COVID. And in that essay, she said about Gibson, "He wasn't an egotist, so he wasn't threatened by anything I was doing. He said to our daughter towards the end of his life, 'Your mum would still have been a writer if she hadn't met me, but she wouldn't have had as much fun.'" So that's cute. They obviously had a very good relationship.
Yeah, that's nice. Good for Margaret. So my little fact is bleak, because this whole book is bleak.
Strap yourselves in, people.
Yeah. Crake's name comes from a real bird species, which is confirmed in the book. It's the red-necked crake, which is found in New Guinea. And it used to also be found in Australia too, but most of its habitat has been destroyed here. What a wonderful, uplifting fact.
Oh. But yeah, that is right. She was actually on a book tour in Australia in 2001 for The Blind Assassin when she started writing Oryx and Crake. So that tracks with that fact that she obviously would have known that from her tour. And normally I love when we can tie back Aussie references to book facts, as you know, but I'm a bit worried that Australia seems to have been the inspiration for this crazy version of the world Atwood has cooked up. So I actually went down the rabbit hole a bit more and I found that, yes, the Australian birds were part of it, but thank God they were not the only inspiration for the book. Atwood explained that the work was also a product of her lingering thoughts on such a scenario throughout her life up till that point, and were a result of spending a great amount of time with scientists through her childhood. She stated, "Several of my close relatives are scientists, and the main topic at the annual Christmas family dinner was likely to be intestinal parasites or sex hormones in mice, or when that..." Yeah, exactly. Or when that makes the non-scientist too queasy the nature of the universe. So appetizing with your turkey roast, right?
It's probably nice to not have a big political fight over Christmas.
Okay, yes, I like that you're taking a positive out of there. Back to the book, she continued to write the novel through the summer of 2001 while visiting the Arctic North, and at that time she was witnessing global warming's effect on the region. So that might explain why she called Snowman Snowman.
Yep.
However, not long after that, the world was shaken by the September 11 attacks in America, and as a result she did stop writing for a few weeks in the autumn. And she said of that time, "It's deeply unsettling when you're writing about a fictional catastrophe and then a real one happens." That said, she did finish the book in time for its release in 2003.
Okay. Did you know that when Margaret Atwood was touring the paperback in Denver in early 2005, she came up with the concept of a robotic pen which can sign a document in a different physical location to the pen user. So that concept of remote pen, so I could sign something with a pen in Sydney and it could sign a document in Japan, basically. She thought,
robot arms.
She came up with the concept of that. And then that concept, she pitched it and it ended up being invented. And Margaret Atwood
Is she on the patent?
Yeah, well, she's still part of the company which owns the technology. And it's more used for legal documents now than, book
author signings.
Do you think Denver should do like a tourism campaign saying, "Denver, we're so awful to visit. People invent technology to never, ever come back"? Poor Denver.
No, let's go with that. She was quite smart and she not only wrote speculative fiction, but she also was an inventor. I like that spin a bit better than the tourism campaign idea.
She's clearly very, very clever.
Did you know, Rach, that the character of Crake was inspired by real-life science and thinkers?
Yeah, I could tell, sort of.
Yeah, in the
when I was
book,
reading.
before he takes the name of the bird Crake as his moniker, it's revealed that his real name is Glenn, which is a nod to the avant-garde pianist Glenn Gould. So Crake's cold logic and scientific curiosity represent themes Atwood saw in some real scientific personalities. In fact, Atwood has suggested that, like Gould, Crake is written with the characteristics of a genius who may be on the autism spectrum, further emphasizing his intense, detached focus on scientific innovation. The world Crake creates with genetic feats like organ harvesting pigoons and bioengineered humans known as Crakers is based on genuine biotechnological concepts featuring real advances in genetic engineering, as well as Margaret's own speculations on extensions of what scientists could really do.
You could tell that she'd put a lot of real research into the book. It just made it more scary.
100%, because you can imagine it actually happening.
Yeah. What I wanted to mention is a theme I've noticed in Margaret Atwood's writing is how humanity interacts with reproduction, especially with an overlying theme of religion. So you can definitely see that in The Handmaid's Tale because they're controlling reproduction through the handmaids, but it comes through in a different way in Oryx and Crake because the reproduction is being controlled in a similar way, but instead of human women, it's like things like the chickie knobs, which have no brains and are just all these, half a dozen chicken breasts joined together with a mouth at the top, and the pigoons, which is for pig meat, but they're not real pigs and they're just sort of locked in those pens all the time. Even the rakunks are like half raccoon, half skunk. It's like everything, all the reproduction is being controlled.
What about the pulsating blue members of...
Yeah. I mean, that was Crake. So, yeah, I do get to that. That is weird. Like, I don't know why she put that in. But in Oryx and Crake, instead of subjugating women as birthing vessels, it's large corporations which exist outside of governments and countries in their own compounds. They've got their own private army and they've self-appointed themselves as creators and destroyers of life because they're sending diseases out into the human population and then creating all these weird plants and animals, even weird rocks. Remember that weird rock that soaked up water and then time released it? So they've become quasi-gods and they're actively manipulating all aspects of the environment and life for profit. And then I guess profit is the religion in this one.
Definitely.
I'm taking from that Margaret Atwood has a deep hatred for corporations that have a lack of morals and ethics, and she was obviously pretty scared about animal engineering when she was writing this book. And then also just profits over everything else in general links back to the murder of Crake's father by his mother and uncle, stepfather. Everything in that world was just commodified for profit. And then we see in the book what the rich people in the compounds do with that profit via Jimmy and Crake, because they have all this money and they're using it to do really disturbing things like watching naked newsreaders, live executions and live child porn for fun. Did I mention how bleak this book is? It's bleak.
I think we might need to lighten the mood, ladies and gentlemen, with a fun fact.
Yeah.
Shall I?
Yeah.
Did you know that Margaret Atwood regularly auctions off the right to name a character in her books for charity?
Ooh.
Could you guess which one she named in Oryx?
I'm guessing not Snowman.
No, the character was Amanda Payne. And she was named after someone, his girlfriend.
In college.
She was named after someone who won a charity auction in London. And Amanda also appears in Atwood's subsequent Mad Adam book too. So 2 for the price of 1, whoever won that.
Ooh,
Amanda.
spoiler.
And those charity auctions offer bidders a chance to have their name immortalised in a novel by a favourite author, which precedes supporting organisations such as Freedom from Torture, which helps survivors of torture. So yes, it's bleak, but she is helping people with the money that she gets as well.
She's using it for good.
Yeah, maybe when we're really famous, big podcast in the podcasting world, we can buy a mention.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. All right. Did you know that Margaret Atwood appeared in the Handmaid's Tale TV show So
I
she
did not
cameoed.
know that. No
Yeah,
way.
yeah. She cameos in the very first episode, and she's playing the role of one of the aunts with Aunt Lydia, and Margaret Atwood's character gets to slap Offred, played by Elizabeth Moss. So there's some trivia for
Oh,
you.
that's so funny. Handmaid's Tale was quite polarizing, and I think she continued that theme with Oryx. You either love it or you hate it. On that
Or
point,
both.
bit of both. In 2003, it was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize. In 2004, it was shortlisted for the Orange Prize for Fiction. Then, more than 10 years later, in 2019, the BBC News listed Oryx and Crake on its list of the 100 most influential novels, and The Guardian included it on their list of the 100 best books of the 21st century.
Wow.
However, alongside those achievements, did you know, Rach, that Oryx and Crake is also one of the most banned books by school officials in the United States?
Yes.
Yes, it's true. In 2023, 2 years ago, it was banned from school libraries by the school boards of Willard, Missouri, and Hanover County in Virginia. That same year, the South Carolina School District banned it as well, but then they later reversed the decision and returned it to the high school library shelves. Even as late as April 2024, only last year, it was banned in 3 large Texas school districts and was one of the 13 books banned statewide by Utah's Board of Education, allegedly for its objective, sensitive material. So she's very polarizing.
Yeah. It's a bleak book, but I don't understand why you would ban it.
Bit censorship, right? Like,
Yeah.
let the people read what they want to read.
Yeah. Because if you had a choice, you wouldn't read this because it's too bleak. Anyway, now it's time. We normally ask silly questions, but these are probably going to be bleak. So anyway, question 1. Would you rather eat chicky knobs for a week or live on Snowman's diet of scrounged, mostly questionable fish?
Oh, look, if it was crayfish, I'd be all for it because I actually quite like a bit of spanner crab or
Really?
that
I'm
type of thing.
allergic to...
But, are you?
Yeah,
I love
shellfish. Yeah, I'm allergic.
But no, I think I'm going to go for the chicky knobs.
Really?
Because I don't love fish that much.
I hate fish and I hate chicken. I don't like it either.
Oh, what are you going to do?
So I think we only get 1 fish a week, and chicky knobs, it says you've got to eat them for a week. So I'd rather just have 1 piece of fish and get it over with than eat
But
chicken.
you'd be so
for a week.
hungry the whole time.
Yeah, but then I could go
I'm
and
gonna
eat
chicken knob it up.
something. I could go and rustle something up out of an old shop or something. A tin of beans. Okay,
All
if
right.
you could genetically engineer 1 trait into me, would you choose to make me Craker level cheerful with impromptu singing and casual nudity and obviously a blue pulsating penis? Or would you make me Crake and like super dry and efficient and a genius who wants to take over the world?
Well, you're already a genius. I don't know if you have any megalomaniac.
I'm as thick as a brick.
You know what? I'd probably choose the first one because it would be hilarious to see you creating impromptu dancing and singing. I don't know how that would go down on the potty, but that's what I'm going for.
It'd be a lot
What
more
about
fun,
you?
wouldn't it? Yeah, I think I'd be scared if you turned into Crake. But if you
Yes.
turned into a kind of Smurf, that would be fun, especially with the nudity.
With the blue.
Yeah, I think I'd make you into a Craker. Okay, last question. Would you rather be the final human on Earth and then one day you find yourself inside a ring of stinky urine being approached by little humanoid men with blue penises that are waving rhythmically in the air while they chant, which, I mean, that's quite freaky? Or would you rather be a Craker who eats grass and then poos it out and then re-eats it, but you get skin with built-in sunscreen and built-in insect repellent?
Yeah, I forgot how gross that was that they ate their own poo. Well, I mean, could I karate chop my way through those blue penises?
I don't know, could you?
Just say yes. In that scenario, apparently I have ninja skills.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with that. What about
So
you?
you'd rather be a human, not a Craker.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
I think I'd rather be a Craker. But I would work on trying to genetically engineer myself to regurgitate the grassy stuff and then re-eat it because that's less disgusting. But I
guess
would
if
like
you do it all the time, you're not going to care either. Like if that's your life.
you'd get used to it.
Well,
You'd
you
get
would be
used to
used to it. You wouldn't know anything else, right?
Yeah. And I'd have built-in sunscreen and built-in insect repellent, which would be...
Built-in sunscreen and insect repellent does sound pretty good. Margaret Atwood seems to be not only talented when it comes to writing, but she also has a bunch of other random creative interests as well. She's known as an adept cake decorator and has spoken about being asked to reproduce various objects in pastry and icing. Additionally, she enjoys knitting and once made a rabbit that looked like a rat, displaying her playful creativity in crafts. And on top of that, Atwood also designed her own book covers for some Canadian editions of her poetry, further highlighting her artistic versatility.
Wow, she's a bit of a Leonardo da Vinci there.
A little bit, yeah.
So, what I wanted to talk about was Crake and his invention of his little crakers, and whether that mirrors the story of Frankenstein and his monster, and therefore also also Prometheus. So check out our earlier episode on Frankenstein if you want to learn more. Obviously there's similarities, but there's also a big difference because in Frankenstein, Victor doesn't plan ahead at all. And even though Victor Frankenstein is the prototype of that mad scientist trope, he doesn't invent that monster because he has plans to rule the world. He's more of a short-sighted blunderer who immediately abandons his creation as soon as it comes to life. He runs away. But Crake really fits into that mad scientist trope well because he has definitely planned out the events in this book with precision. And unlike Victor Frankenstein, he's made provisions for his little invented children by getting Jimmy to promise to look after them if anything happens to him. But interestingly, Oryx also extracts the same promise from Jimmy, so he's doubly on the hook and he does feel really responsible for them. And then another difference is, unlike in Frankenstein, the Crakers don't turn on their creator or seek revenge
they kind
for
of try
being...
to protect him.
Yeah, well, Crake or Oryx, I don't know who they think invented them, but Frankenstein, his monster does really turn on him. So the Crakers do turn out to be roughly what Crake had planned for them. He's trying to get rid of the more awful attributes of humans, and they seem pretty content in the book, unlike Frankenstein's monster, who is very discontented. So they're designed to be free of...
killing spree.
Yeah, just strangling people left and right. But yeah, these Crakers are designed to be free of aggression, free of sexual jealousy, and they're supposed to be free of religious beliefs, which I'm not sure he got that right. It's interesting that both Mary Shelley and Margaret Atwood were writing a horror story as a warning about what could happen if science goes too far and nobody considers the moral and ethical implications before just inventing things willy-nilly. But Mary Shelley's book is so old now, it's not scary anymore.
Yeah.
It's a bit silly. But this book gets more chilling the more you move into the future and the more the future looks like what Margaret Atwood predicted. Have I mentioned that it's bleak?
I don't know if you have, Rach.
Yeah.
I was going to say Frankenstein doesn't feel as bleak either. I think you get to the end of Frankenstein and I certainly still felt a bit of hope, whereas I think you get to the end of this. I mean, we obviously haven't read the second and the third, so we don't know how it fully ends up, but certainly if you're hoping for happily ever after, spoiler
definitely
alert.
not. Yeah, try a different book.
So yes, on a side note, as more trivia for you, Atwood has also cited The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham as a literary influence on the Mad Adam trilogy. She loved its blend of science, disaster, and human behaviour. And I do love that book. So maybe we should read it for season 2, Rach. Add it to the
maybe.
list.
I have never read The Day of the Triffids. I've always meant to.
Great.
Yeah. So I'm supposed to do a fact here, but I thought I'd do a rant instead. So I just really struggle when I read books that are this opaque because I feel like firstly you have to read the book and then secondly you have to Google all the stuff you're vaguely aware happened but went straight over your head. And the worst part of these books is you're just left with question after question after question and no answers, which is frustrating. So many questions like, did Craig even like Jimmy? at all? Were they
No.
even friends? I don't know. Why was Jimmy the main character? Why did Margaret Atwood think, I'll make it this flawed, mediocre man? I don't know. Why was Oryx so weird? And why was she so aggressively glass half full about all the horrible things she'd been through in her life?
I think that was more like survivor strategy. I think that she had to keep going.
I just wonder what Margaret Atwood was saying about that. Like, you can do anything to women and they just end up really cheerful. Or is she meant to
it's
be
in the subtext, right? And we all know that
we don't know what the subtext is. Is she supposed to symbolize Mary Magdalene from the Bible? What did the Quakers symbolize? I don't know. What was the whole thing with Jimmy's mum and the way she disappeared with Killer the Rakunk? For me, it's like being locked into an escape room and you're really, really bad at solving puzzles and you're like, what's going on? And you know how you said she had to stop writing because she was upset by 9/11? Like, you've written the most upsetting book ever and released it into the world to upset me. Have I mentioned that it's bleak?
Rach, I'm getting the sense that this might be your favourite book of all time.
Are you? No, I don't know. I don't need to be banged over the head with blunt objects by the point a writer is trying to make, but I don't want them to be so subtle that you're clutching at wisps of clouds. I think there needs to be a happy medium. So that's my rant. Okay, rant over.
We all know how successful the TV adaptation of The Handmaid's Tale has been, but what about Oryx and Crake? A television adaptation is currently in development as part of a larger adaptation of the Mad Adam trilogy, which includes Oryx and Crake, The Year of the Flood, and Mad Adam. The series is being produced by Anonymous Content and Paramount Television, who won the rights after a very competitive bidding process. But Rach, you'll never believe what formed the very first adaptation for this book. Do you want to have a guess?
It wasn't, what could it? It wasn't like a radio play or something random, was it?
No.
Graphic novel?
No, I'm going to tell you. It was an opera.
Really?
Yeah. It premiered at the Wiesbaden Theatre in Germany with a score composed by Soren Nils Eichberg and conducted by Albert Horn and directed by Daniela Kirk. So I don't know how they managed to make it into an opera.
Did you say Wiesbaden? Isn't that where Dostoevsky wrote Crime and Punishment?
Gosh, yes, I think so. So if you're ever in town in Wiesbaden and you want to watch the opera because it is your favourite novel of all time, go ahead. I don't know how they would have got the blue
penises. That would have been the costume designer's favourite job ever. Okay, so this is a weird piece of trivia, so bear with. But The Handmaid's Tale, obviously another Atwood dystopia that we're also now living in, that one is set in New England. And the TV show adaptation stars Alexis Bledel, who is famously Rory Gilmore in Gilmore Girls. So Gilmore Girls also set in New England. Okay. So, and just a shout out to anyone like me who thinks, one day I'll do the Rory Gilmore reading challenge. We've all still got time. We're never going to do it, are we? Anyway, both shows are set in New England, and eagle-eyed viewers have actually spotted that in both shows, Alexis Bledel's character has a dark wood Jenny Lind style bed. The bed in both shows for her character is almost identical. So is that a New England coincidence? Or is Emily from The Handmaid's Tale actually Rory Gilmore? And it's like
It's such a... I thought that was going, but not where it actually went.
That's my tinfoil theory. The Gilmore Girls turns dark right at the end and she gets caught up in a dystopia and made to be a handmaid. Ooh.
Well, speaking of handmaids, did you know in 2024, we already mentioned that she had actually cameoed in Handmaids. Did you also know in 2024, Atwood had a cameo in a season 17 episode of Murdoch Mysteries? She was Lauren Quinnell, an amateur ornithologist. She really loves birds, doesn't she?
Yeah. So she had lines and everything.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know,
okay.
but she was...
I have to check it out.
If she was talking about her love for birds, I suspect.
She probably had binoculars and everything.
Yeah.
So, what did you think about the ending of this book, Jess?
Yeah, what did I think of it? I guess I felt a bit cheated when we finally got there, if I'm honest. The chapters leading up to it there were slowly giving us more information about Crake, how the beginning of the end had happened. And when I was reading it, I felt like the part where Crake turns up at the airlock with Oryx and, spoiler alert, slits her throat, and then Jimmy kills him, it happened too fast for me. I guess I was expecting that we would get a bit more of a narrative and a back and forth between Crake and Jimmy as to why Crake had done what he had done. But later when we were discussing this in book club, as you know, I mentioned this and I just assumed it was an accident. But in book club, they were like, no, Crake set up the whole thing and he wanted Jimmy to kill him. But I'm just not smart enough to get that. I just... What about you, Rach?
Subtext and having to do all the work as the reader. Ugh. So I'm just gonna say what the ending is, and then ask if you can explain any of it to me, Jess. So the very ending.
Probably not.
He comes back from the compound. He catches the Crake starting to be religious because they've set up kind of a shrine of him. And then he thinks he's going to die from his foot infection. And then he approaches this random new group of humans with a gun, and it's kind of left on a cliffhanger. So I don't know what any of that meant. I don't understand why it ended like that.
Well, and that was another thing that we talked about in book club. I thought he was going to approach them and try and make friends with them, but a lot of people were like, oh, he probably approached them and then got shot and died.
Yeah, well, I don't know. So my question to you is, there are 2 more books in the trilogy, but they're obviously going to be super smart with all this subtext that all goes over my head. So, and they're going to be bleak. So would you be willing to read them and then tell me what happens? Because I don't want to read. I don't want to go back into that world again. Please don't make me go back.
Listen, I will have a think about it. It's neither a yes or a no for me. Like, I probably would. I like dystopian and I don't mind a bit of bleak, and I would go back if I could be certain that they'll go into a bit more reason what Crake was doing. But if it's just continuation of Snowman and his bedsheet toga, no, I'm not going to.
You're going to have to Google. I'm going to have to Google it, the ending. Okay, let's wrap up with a final round of true or false. I'm going to start us off. So, Jess, true or false? The Handmaid's Tale was published in 1985.
Goodness, I put it in my intro and I don't remember. I don't think it was 85. Oh, okay. Yeah, true.
It is true. So it must have turned 40 this year sometime. So if it was a lady, it would be heading into perimenopause and it could stop being a handmaid.
And for me, true or false, Rach, Margaret Atwood is related to Mary Webster, a 17th century woman who survived a witch hanging in Massachusetts. True or false?
Ooh, that sounds too random to be false. So I'm going to say true.
Could be true or false. I mean, I'm going to give you the points either way. But basically, Atwood says it's a family legend. She has claimed that, according to her grandmother, whose maiden name is Webster, the 17th century witchcraft lynching survivor, Mary Webster, might have been an ancestor. This is what she said of it. On Monday, my grandmother would say Mary was her ancestor, and on Wednesday, she would say she wasn't. So you take your pick.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, she could have properly found out yes or no by now, instead of just wondering if her grandmother was lying.
Well, with
or
all
not.
of her money, yeah. She actually wrote a poem called Half-Hanged Mary about Mary Webster and dedicated The Handmaid's Tale to her.
Oh, right.
Tribute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she probably doesn't want to find out in case it's not true.
I would say she's hanging on it, but the fact that it's true, yeah.
We know she's very comfortable with ambiguity, unlike us. Okay,
what do you
Jess,
got for me?
True or false? Oryx and Crake is one of the most banned books by school officials in the United States.
Is that true?
It is true, yeah.
Very good. And I got a true or false for you. Margaret Atwood came up with the idea for Pigoons after watching Jurassic Park. True or false?
Oh, Pigoon. I don't know. false?
It is false. Very good.
Good.
I didn't even know if Jurassic Park had been out by then.
I didn't realise Jurassic Park was based on a book until very recently.
Yeah, I told you.
Oh, okay. There you go. Okay, Jess, my final true or false. True or false, Crake shares something in common with Shakespeare's Hamlet.
I'm going to say true, hopefully.
It is true. So it seems as though Crake's father was killed by his mother and uncle stepfather, which is similar storyline to Hamlet.
But it's not Greek tragedy, Rach. You haven't been able to weave any Greek tragedy in for this.
No, that's Shakespearean tragedy.
All right, I'll take it. And my last true or false for you, Margaret Atwood, true or false, is a terrible speller.
So I'm going to say she's good at art. She's good at cake decorating. Yes, she's got to be bad at something. Spelling. True.
You are correct. Although she is an accomplished writer, Atwood says she is a terrible speller who writes both on computer and by hand. So at least she's not completely perfect in life, hey?
Yeah. Thank God.
Shall I wrap it up with the final fact?
Yes.
Did you know, going back on what you were saying about her being an accomplished cake decorator, she also loves cooking, and she contributed a baked lemon custard recipe to Bon Appetit in 2006. According to Epicurious reviews, it's very good.
Ooh.
So our keen cookers out there, if you would like to create your own baked lemon custard, you can definitely get Atwood's recipe of that.
She's putting some nice sweetness into the world via custard and her charity work. Unfortunately, she also put this bleakness into the world through this book. My final fact is, did you know that Margaret Atwood once wrote a rock song called Frankenstein Monster Song?
No, I didn't. Do you reckon that is the lead song from the Oryx and Crake musical in Wiesbaden?
No. Well, she actually wrote the lyrics for the song for a band who were called One Ring Zero. And the media have tried to dub this band's musical genre as lit rock, as in literary rock. So
every song that they get is penned from authors.
I don't know. They're like multi-instrumentalists. They play the theremin, that weird, creepy Beach Boys instrument from Good Vibrations.
Ah, yeah.
And they play all these other different instruments. It just sounds a bit pretentious to me. Lit rock. It's like, stop trying to make fetch happen. Come on, guys.
Okay, and with that, it brings us to the end of today's deep dive into Oryx and Crake. Before we go, Rach, can you give us a little teaser of what's coming up for the next podcast?
Yes, we are going to head back to the middle of the 20th century again, and we're going to find out where the trope for the wise beyond her years little girl who gives advice comes from. And we're also going to meet a bunch of phonies.
Interesting. My clue is that we'll be diving into the mind of a certain red hat wearing teenager who's had just about enough of phonies. Same as you. There's New York streets, a mysterious carousel, and a whole lot of angst.
I wonder what it could be.
I know what it is.
Oh, good. Okay, so that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening. And if you like this episode, please like and subscribe. And only if you liked it, rate our podcast on whichever podcasting app you use, or better still, tell a friend to listen. For more book trivia, find us at booktriviapodcast.com. And you can also follow us on Reddit and Substack, where we are Book Trivia Podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Book Trivia Podcast, where we give you book facts and we'll have a laugh. If you're a book lover with a thirst